Hey, have you ever wondered how to get legal access to a property? Well, there's no one size fits all answer, but let me tell you how I got access to this property. Hey, I'm back on this 40 acres that I bought about a year ago, and it's the first time I've been back on it since I've got the legal access to it. I came down here today to get drone pictures and some other pictures and video and stuff to get it on the market. I got legal access to it. It's a great little old hunting tract, so I'm ready to sell it now. Let me tell you what I'd had to go through to get this legal access and see if some of it's helpful to you. First thing I had to do is reach out to the regional guy for the timber company that I would have to cross to get here. Said, hey, I want to get a legal access off of that parish road out there to the corner of this property. What do I need to do? Here's what he asked for. He just wanted a plat showing exactly where the property is that we own so that he could see how it sits in their property. He wanted to know how big an access I wanted, meaning how wide it is, and then approximately how long it is, the distance from the parish road to the corner right here. After his people checked everything out, said, yeah, they'd be glad to do it, which I knew they would. I've worked with this company before to get deeded accesses, and yeah, it's a long process. It's a little cumbersome. You got to be patient, but they'll work with you as long as you give them the information they need, and you got to kind of do it their way. You know, you came to them, or I'm coming to them asking for something, so they're not going to just bend over backwards. They're going to say, hey, yeah, if you want it, here's what you got to do. So they asked me to do a couple of things. Number one was get a survey. I was going to have the property surveyed anyway, so I had the servitude. It's probably called an easement in your state, but the access route, I had it surveyed at the same time I had my property surveyed. I kind of planned that so I could kill two birds with one stone, save a little money. And so I had my 40 acres surveyed here, had the corners marked, the lines marked, and then I had the access route surveyed, and I only needed a 20-foot wide easement. There's not going to be any utilities out here. This will never be developed. It'll never be a home site. So 20 feet was plenty wide enough for a recreational tract or to grow timber on it. And also 20 feet saves me a little money, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So once I had the survey done, I sent that to them. He then sends that back up the food chain to his folks, and it takes a while. It really does. A little over 6 months to get all of this finalized. But once I sent the survey to them, they were then able to calculate the actual area that they would be giving me an easement on. It turned out to be, it was less than an acre, I believe. And so that's how they determined the price. What they'll do is they'll take the acreage that or given the access on and any timber that may be damaged or destroyed in creating that access. Fortunately for me, there was an existing little timber road right here. My truck's parked on it. So that's already cleared. And it goes out to the parish road there. So there was really no timber damages involved. It only involved the acres that I would be using for the access. And it turned out to be just under an acre. At the end of the day, this access for 40 acres cost me between $7,000 and $8,000. Now that's the survey. Part of the survey I had to get anyway because I was going to survey my property, but a little bit extra to survey out the access route. And then the cost per acre of the area that would be used for the access. That's how it came up to be about, $5,000 plus the cost of my survey. And so that's how my cost ended up being $8,000. Over 40 acres, that's $200 an acre. Now that's a little strong, but I was able to make it work. Based on what I paid for this property and what I know I can now sell it for with the access, the additional $200 an acre expense, I can still make that work and make money. Now the access will give me a way to reach more buyers. A lot of people will not buy a tract without a legal access because they want to use a lender. And a lender is not going to loan money on most properties in most areas without a deeded access. Now some will, but most won't. So having the legal access makes it easier for the regular buyer to buy this property now. I kind of killed a lot of birds with one stone. I got the survey done. I included the access. I added $200 an acre cost to my property, but it's still under what I know I can sell it for and make a decent profit. And it brings more buyers into the mix because most people are scared of a property without deeded access. If you ever want to get a deeded access to your property, you got to reach out to the people that you're crossing and ask hey, can you do it? Will they work with you? And if so, what's involved? And then you really just got to kind of jump through the hoop, do what's necessary, pay what you got to pay to get that done. My biggest caution to people in doing that is this. Number one, you got to be willing to be patient because it takes a little time, especially if you're dealing with a large timber company. They're just going to get to it when they get to it. If you're dealing with private individuals, you got to be prepared for them to just say no. Initial reflex answer is usually no when you ask for an access. So you got to be patient, you got to be kind, you got to be gentle, you can't push too hard. And a lot of times being patient will work in your favor over a while and people will work with. But then you're going to have some costs, the survey, maybe the road cleared to get to it, whatever those costs are, you got to be willing to pay that. Make sure the money makes sense. I did that. I took my $8,000, divided it by 40, that's $200 an acre, and realized, yeah, $200 an acre still makes this deal doable. If it would have made it too high, I would have just had to try to sell it without the access, but I probably wouldn't have bought the property. But I knew I could get the access working with this timber company if I was willing to be a little bit patient. Deeded access, hey, you gotta have it in most deals with most people. There are a lot of deals that can be done without it. Every deal is different. There's no one size fits all. Getting a legal access, you just got to work with the parties involved, do what you got to do. Thanks for watching our videos. There's some more right there. Check them out.